Everybody, welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Oh, thank God we have a fucking win to talk about. Holy mackerel. All right, now, we'll set you guys up here. Mike be on the mend right now, so I told him his health is more important. Of course, I think there's a new term getting bantied about of like a tridemic. So that'd be the RSV, that's the flu, and of course our good friend COVID, shooting through everybody's pores, in one hole out the other. Mike is experiencing that. So you've got Matt. We're going to see what we can do. I'm going to rely on you guys in the comments to make sure that I have some stuff to talk about. But clearly tonight is a night of celebration. And it started early as started rolling with the eggnog around 5 to 3, I believe. Because I was in the middle of pouring myself a little bit of bourbon to caress the bottom of my nog. And then Larkin scored. So it was 4 to 3. Larkin makes it 5 to 3. Spilled bourbon all over the place, which is awful because I actually picked a good bourbon tonight with 4 Roses. That's right. Some of you are throwing up at the fact I wasted some 4 Roses bourbon to settle at the bottom of my nog. But nogging it up tonight, and it's going to help because rightly we're celebrating. We're moving into the holidays. This is going to be our last giveaway as we're going to take a break for the rest of the year. But we do have a fantastic Cameo coming up. Oh, hey Chewy. Hey guys, say what's up to our boy Chewy. Always go find him on Instagram. Looks like Chewy's in the hospital right now. Hope you're doing okay, Chewy. Mike, like I mentioned, Mike's on the mend too. But yeah, let's talk about this amazing game. Of course, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning's number of every any team in the NHL. Of course, before the season started, you guys all pegged the Tampa Bay Lightning as the team that couldn't handle our sauce, our sweet sauce, and it's really just it's good to see that this team ended this streak. I didn't care that it was Tampa Bay because I wanted to see us end this losing streak against Washington. And again, another overtime that gets away. And it's one of those things where as a fan, your immediate reaction is to get frustrated. As a responsible hockey enthusiast, you have to remind yourself of how banged up this team is, and that this is clearly going to be what happens when a team like the Red Wings, who they're not at Tampa Bay's level, they take a lot of hits in that top 6. These are the results that are going to fall in our lap. We have a pretty good game against Washington, lose in overtime. An overtime where you dominate in puck control and one turnover kind of ends the game. So, to that point, just happy that, this 5-game turned into 6-game losing streak is now a no-game losing streak. And, maybe at some point I'll be happier to talk about the 2-game winning streak against Tampa Bay, the 2-game winning streak that Lalone has over his former team, and the 2-game winning streak the Red Wings have over our returning former head coach, Jeff Blashill, who did get the shout-out today. I applauded lightly. Jeffy Boy probably had to take over the roughest Red Wings roster that we'll see in the near future, the roughest we've seen in the past 30, 40 years. So, Jeff, you did the job. You got some good draft picks. So good on you. All right, so who's aboard today? We're kind of plotting along here. we do have a big giveaway, so I want you guys to smash that like button. So when we get 30 likes on YouTube, so tell everybody on Twitter, tell everybody on Facebook, tell everybody on Instagram. Hit that like button because we have a huge giveaway to be announced by one of our good pals in the Detroit Red Wings organization that I'm really excited to bring that around. So you guys want to stick around for that. Probably won't have to stick around for a full hour like we've done before, considering you're going to listen to one guy ranting about the Red Wings today. But he's also going to announce a pretty sweet prize that even he himself, who has access to everyone in the organization at the drop of a hat, was kind of like, wow, this is what you're giving away? So yeah, guys, hit that like button, help us out, help us the podcast out so we can find some more people. But as we roll along here, we're hoping that we get as many likes as possible. And then we're going to give away this thing I'm looking at right here. So smaller than a bread box. Put it that way. And then, yeah, you guys will get that nice little cameo. All right, so let's throw out here. Ketzel's aboard. What's going on, Ketzel? He's throwing out the oh no once I told everybody that Mike had the flu. Blake, 1991's aboard. Rasparan, Larkin line. 5 goals, 5 assists tonight. He's got the blushing emojis going. Ketzel thrown out there. It's quite a stat. Silver, 33-44. Probably one of the biggest takeaways from tonight, and one of the biggest takeaways I thought we earned at the end of last season. Rasmussen on the wing. Big thumbs up. Works. Now Rasmussen has had a heck of a year from just like we're only, I want to talk only about the eyeball test because we've seen a guy that's been more physical, but not just physical in regards to throwing his body around. He's physical in the boards to get us the puck. That's the eyeball test that he's passing for me. And it's just something that, whether he is center or wing, we've been seeing that play on the defensive side of the game. And I don't know if you just want to say, I mean, it's really on every end of Rasmussen's game. He's playing to possess the puck. And that's something with a guy of Rasmussen's size you expect, and he's been turning it into goals. Now, for Rasmussen, I think to be properly placed as a forward in a scoring lineup, or put him on a line that's supposed to score, that's probably the better way to say that. Yeah, wing. Wing is the way to go. Now, we still saw him taking some faceoffs today. Of course, Larkin dealing with bum hand. And, of course, what did he do? Puts up 2 goals, almost 3 goals. Could have been maybe 4 goals with some of the empty netters that Perron and Ras were spinning around looking for Larkin. But just a hell of a game. Ketzel throwing out. All right, Ketzel, making my day, my man. I might just give you. I might DM you the answer to our question tonight, just because you're making me feel so good. Ketzel throwing out. Nice beanie. Appreciate it, man. This is actually pre-reverse retro, so it is. I made mention that reverse retro came out. I said the Red Wings are not new to the use of black and something like a Red Wings hat. And lo and behold, here it is. This is not a part of that, but yes, Red Wings hat featuring black. Looks pretty sweet. I don't know. I don't hate it. I love it. I'll say I love this so much. I have another Red Wings beanie that's right now sitting on probably a mostly melted snowman. Any hoozles. Dan B thrown out there. Bummer for Mike. He missed Thanksgiving because he got sick. Of course, thrown out there to stay well. All you guys, as best you can, try and stay as healthy as possible in the holiday season. I've already been talking about it, my family, of like, all right, how many holiday parties do we get to skip this year? I might kick that number up. As we all know, there's a winter storm coming. It might be a blizzard to the Detroit area. That's where I'm living right now. Novi is going to get absolutely pounded. And yeah, I don't know. You guys just be safe out there. If it's about health, if it's about that snow, you guys are in the Detroit area. Holy mackerel, are we about to get destroyed with wind, snow? We got some rain, so all that rain's gonna turn into ice. It's gonna be a fun Christmas, you guys. Yeah, Dan B thrown out there to Chewy. Of course, guys, keep Chewy in your thoughts for the holiday season too. Sucks to be in the hospital at Christmas. Get well, dude. Dan B, thanks for throwing out those nice thoughts. I'm just rolling through the comments here again. Running solo. There was a tease that maybe I'd get a mic here, but I think one of the most fun things that happened tonight was I think we saw some pretty solid play. And I want to know what you guys think. We talked about Rasmussen a second ago, and clearly that line did great. When your first line is scoring, they had a fantastic night. Don't get me wrong when I say this. That's where the expectation lies, especially when you look at a team like Tampa Bay that finds that scoring in those top six forwards every night. It's just, I mean, we heard Lalone talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and he was coaching in Tampa. He's like, all right, we can limit the other team to 21 scoring chances. We're actually going to have a win because we know our team is guaranteed to score this amount of goals. Right? So I'm not trying to diminish, disqualify the efforts that were put in by the first line. Soderblom, though, he's our boy. Soderblom had a hell of a fucking game today. And I was smart enough, to cue this up ahead of time. Now, when we cue this up, and you guys, if I could see my play button, you guys know, like this isn't necessarily like Soderblom full, all skill. That's what this is right here, getting this puck into the net. It almost looks like when we show this replay here of Soderblom's goal, and this is just one example of some great choices that Soderblom was making today. I honestly wanted to focus on some of the great play in the neutral zone that Soderblom was putting out there, turning the puck over, setting his team up, putting Tampa Bay into just like whatever their lineup plan was to get from the neutral zone into the offensive zone, just put them in shambles, and they didn't know what to do. And I thought that was amazing play by Soderblom. And again, coming back to, are you going to get good play from the lines that you're not expecting it from? Going from the first line, dropping that conversation down to what was labeled as the fourth line today. That's how you're going to beat Tampa Bay, man. And this is one of those things, too. Like, I want to talk about, like, the episode is labeled, and I haven't even mentioned it yet, but the return of Vrana and Fabbri to practice for the Detroit Red Wings, absolutely humongous here. We gotta find a lineup that's gonna find us a good chunk of wins and a good streak, especially after losing 6 in a row. But this is the kind of thing when you're building this lineup from top to bottom, you're hoping you're gonna find. And this goal that we're gonna show here in a second isn't necessarily, again, I mean, this is Brian Elliott, backup goaltender, Tampa Bay Lightning. If you guys watch the game, you already know what we're about to show. Did a no-look pass right to Joe Veleno. Now, again, huge stinker of a pass from Elliott. Fantastic play by Joe Veleno. And of course, we saw later in the replay that the second Elliott started playing this puck behind the net, you saw Elmer Soderblom go from the blue line straight to the net. And again, as I cheat here, lean away from the microphone so I can see my play button. That's exactly what we're just going to see this play finish up right here. As Veleno throws the puck right to the front of the net. Soderblom there finishes it off. And again, do we have to get super excited that Soderblom was able to just tip this pass into the net? No. But this fourth line was making tremendous decisions all night. Making tremendous plays when it comes to being in the right position at the right time. Elmer going right to the front of the net when he sees that this play is starting to develop. There's a movement by Elliott behind the net, and you have 3 forwards. That would make it 3 forwards up on the play, all making great choices. Great decisions, great choices. That's what you need from your fourth line. I think more so tonight, it's that neutral zone play. It's what Elmer Soderblom with his 6'8" frame, and Mickey Redmond pointed it out too. He said that is where Tampa's still trying to figure out what do you do? Soderblom starts throwing his stick around. I mean, you're talking about the wingspan of a giant, and you attach a stick to the end of it. It's just Tampa can't make the same plays. They can't do the same types of dipsy doodling through the neutral zone to get plays moving. And you saw how dangerous that could be. We saw Braden Point just fire it away, getting Tampa that early 1-0 lead. So that's something we're trying to figure out how this lineup's going to be built moving forward. What are going to be the ways to get us in the best position possible to get a good chunk of wins in a row here? Maybe that fourth line has got to look as good as maybe second and third line. And then again, we're talking about names coming back, and I'm hoping some names are sticking around, and maybe we saw another name tonight that hopefully will make it a little bit easier for Lalonde to drop him, because goddamn, we're talking about I'm going to say it. That's on par with Isaiah Thomas letting Bird steal the ball. God damn it. That was all Adam Ernie and Chris Osgood. We're talking about Ernie completely whiffing out a pass, and I believe it was Colton that went ahead and fired away and tied the game up at the time. Made it 3-3 on a spot in the game where it really looked like we were going to just steal some momentum, and we saw that momentum carry all the way to the end of the game too. So let's not ignore that part as well. But Osgood throws it out there, and you got to hand it to the guy who's actually played the sport in the NHL. He's like, look, not defending that play. Not a good one. Not one that you need to get worried about Adam Ernie. Like, it's one of those things where you worry about that happening every game. But here's the thing. Adam Ernie does that play, and he's also not netting you goals. So, it's not like we haven't seen the deficiencies in his game or opportunities to upgrade in the Ernie spot for the last 2 years. And that play doesn't make me feel any better about Adam Ernie. But seeing the play around him by the boys he's competing with and will be competing with for a spot in this lineup, I really, really hope at some point we're going to say, you know what? The experience just doesn't do it for me anymore. I don't know how you guys think. Ketzel thrown out there. Ernie almost blew it. Silver goes, Ernie did blow it. And then Ketzel goes, well, from a final score, of course. Silver, I did want to point this out. I kind of missed this, the whole Soderblom rant I just gave. Silver throws out there, admittedly, I've not given credit as to why Soderblom is so important in his disruption of the lanes and his disruption of lanes in neutral zone areas. And I think when we were bringing in Soderblom, he was one of these guys, just like Edmondson was labeled as like these unicorns. And it's about having these attributes. Doesn't need to be tied to skill per se, but you're going to have things that are going to be tough for other teams to figure out. And Ketzel pointed it out earlier. It's hard to practice for a 12-foot wingspan. You're not just going to find a guy that you're going to throw out. I mean, Buffalo's going to be able to prepare with Tage Thompson, but even then, Elmer's got a couple extra inches to toss around. Sorry, I saw the eggnog in the corner of my eye and I needed a sip. But to that point, it is just going to be something I think as hopefully the years go on, it's just going to be something that can't be figured out. So I'm going to throw out there, guys. I don't know how much longer I can rant just to myself. So let's do this. I'm going to toss up. We're going to do some ads real quick. We'll come back. I'm going to show you guys. Nice friend of mine I've known for years is going to join the show for a heartbeat. Not Mike. I do apologize for the audio because I had to record it actually at work. Hopefully nobody from work is listening right now. So it'd be the end of old Matt. And Matt would go full-time podcast, so maybe a win. So we're going to run the ad, show you guys. We'll jump into a little cameo from one of our Red Wings friends, and then, of course, we'll jump into big giveaway. So in that Cameo, they'll announce what the giveaway is. And then, as you guys know, jump into a game right after that. Podcast listeners, can't believe you missed this. What were you thinking? So disappointed in you. All right. Give us a minute. We'll be right back. Hockey fans, it is time to light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook. It's an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. As THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Everybody, as promised, our cameo for this week is, of course, our very own Ken Cal. Ken, how are you doing today?
Doing terrific, getting ready for the holidays, and it's always fun to be with you, Matt.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. Now, Ken, like you said, we're getting towards the holidays. What's that one seasonal treat that you've got to have to make it the holidays?
It's got to be a 6-pack of beer, I'll tell you that on Christmas Day. You know what? It's such a rush to go through the holidays, and just to relax a little bit and have a few ginger ales is fine with me.
Well, the whole Red Wings Rant Nation would be mad at me if I didn't ask you at least one Red Wings question. So we've seen a lot of potential scoring-wise when we do have a full deck. We've still seen a lot of potential growing defensively, even while we are depleted. So positives can be found even in our losses. But there are a lot. What do you think has been the most impressive under the Lalonde regime thus far?
Well, coming into the season, Derek Lalonde wanted to cut down the goals against. And as we speak right now, I think the Red Wings are around 90 goals against or somewhere around that number, which is way lower than it was a year ago. So all of the structure that he's implemented in training camp, we can see right now on the ice. The team's a better checking team. They play it close to the vest. Few times they got blown out this year, but that's because they got away from their system and the games were already out of hand. But for the most part, they can compete with anybody in the National Hockey League. And right now they just need to score some goals. But overall, their checking has been terrific, I think.
Now, this one is a quick one. Ken, do you think our future assets around the trade deadline are safe? Do you think we're hanging on to those draft picks and prospects?
You know what? I don't know. That's a good question because we'll know more, I guess, as the season rolls along. And I think you can't make those decisions until you see where the Red Wings are in the standings. So it'll be interesting to see what Steve does come the trade deadline. And, you know, here we are around Christmas time, and it's only a couple months away, so it'll be here before you know it. But I would say you just have to wait and see where the Red Wings are at in the standings at that position.
It's probably good we're just asking that question. So, Ken, you are here to introduce our giveaway for the week so everybody knows what they'll be playing for. Ken, could you do the big reveal for us and what we're giving away?
Ho, ho, ho. Santa Cal is here, and I'll tell you exactly what you're going to get. This week's giveaway is Nicholas Lidstrom's book entitled Pursuit of Perfection.
All right, guys, let's play the game. But Ken, thank you so much for coming aboard. We appreciate it so much. Every time you come aboard, it's a blast. But have a great holiday. And of course, get some rest out there with this busy December.
All right. Sounds good, Matt. And Merry Christmas to all the fans in Hockey Town, and go Wings.
Go Wings.
All righty, boys. That's right. You know what? Ken didn't even mention that this isn't just a copy of Nicholas Lidstrom's book. This is a signed copy where you're getting Hall of Famer, number 5 himself, Nicholas Lidstrom's autograph on his very own book. I love this book, by the way. This is some of these Red Wings books, they get kind of sad. There's a couple of sad moments in this one still, and you guys can guess, but this is a really good one. But I know that you guys would be stoked to get. I mean, come on. The guy's name's in the rafters. We're talking a huge giveaway here. And you guys know what's next. We're playing a game. What we're going to do, play this same rules week after week. If you guys want to type in the letter after I'm done reading this multiple choice question, after I'm done reading the goddamn question, I can see the comments right here, you cheating pieces of crap. When I'm done reading the question, you could type in the answer or the letter. I don't care. First one to do it wins. I hope you guys are ready. Podcast listeners, I'm sorry you guys are missing this. This is I kind of like this one because it's sort of like parallel to well, you know what, if I talk about why I picked it, I'm gonna give away the answer. All right, fuck that. How many Red Wings named Howe are members of the Hockey Hall of Fame? A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, D, 4. All right, have at it, boys. How many Detroit Red Wings named Howe are members of the Hockey Hall of Fame? All right. I see the correct answer, and oh boy. I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. The correct answer is 3. And the man who got it right first, and I can't, it's in the comments. I can't do anything else about this. But they were literally seconds apart, like half a second apart. Dan B with 3, Ketzel with 3, Gordy Mark, and I'm going to say forgotten because it's one that I forget. Sid Howe. Of course, not a relative. So here we go. Dan, we have the timestamp. So here's the thing. Dan, you win in one. Ketzel, you're getting a goddamn book too. Because I can't do this. Dan, you absolutely deserve one. But I probably should have made the rule that you guys can't win 2 weeks in a row, and I didn't say shit. So, you guys are both going to get a signed copy of Nicholas Lidstrom's book, because that's right, I have a couple of them. So, Ketzel, congratulations. Dan B, goddamn, 2 weeks in a row. You don't need to send me an email. I got your email, I got your address already, so I hope you have some pictures, actually, of that Mort Cider puck that you won last week. I heard that I was pretty happy that shipping worked. You got that sucker like the next day. That was pretty cool. But yeah, congrats to you guys, to Animal, throwing that in there with the Gratz guys. I'm very happy that we're gonna give away 2 books. It's Christmas, right? Come on, let's have some fun. Ketzel, I'm super happy you won, man. You and I have a lot of chats on Twitter, so congratulations to you. And shoot, we're just gonna keep on rolling. Special shout out too to Ken Kell. Trying to organize this stuff during the holidays, I didn't realize would be as massive a nightmare as it is. I mean, I can't even get Mike to show up to the podcast. So we had everybody tapping out like last minute. I won't name names, but it was just one of those things where it was like, yeah, holidays, yes, I'm sick, yes, I have more important things to do. But Ken was able to find this little bit of time in his day, like on a game day we recorded, and like I said, I was like at work, so I was like, all right, I'm just going to pretend I'm working. Went ahead and scheduled like a meeting in a conference room far away from everyone and just set that up. So to that end, to anybody listening, that was one of the people that didn't believe me when I said I would do anything to get you on the show. I risk it all. That's for you guys too. Especially Dan B and Ketzel, who are... Oh, Dan B said, no, I didn't win last week. Oh, wait, who won last week? Oh, it's Danimals. Ah. Well, it's too late. Ketzel and Dan B are both getting books. I already said it. That's how this works. Jarrett throws out there, dude would never be able to use a teleprompter. Too true. I desperately need a producer. I was having fun, like not having to listen to Mike. I love Mike, but trying to go through these comments. And then here we are. I completely fucked that up. I'm sure this is a good listen for you guys, though, to find out I'm giving away 2 books just because I fucked up. I don't mind it. Gotta say. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride, so I'm happy to give out 2 books. It's either that or I'm going to start crying when I'm done recording. So if you guys want to see that, head on over to my OnlyFans. It's onlyfans.com/Red Wings Rant, where I usually save it for losses. I webcam set up, just sob, turn all these lights, make them red kind of thing, sad music. All right, enough of that. That's gross. So what our topic of the show was going to be to discuss the return of Jakub Vrana, Robby Fabbri. I said it right this time. Dan B said give the book to Chewy. Oh, Dan, I wish I hadn't have seen that. Now, Chewy, you absolutely know we've been Let me just say, Chewy, you don't have to say a thing. We've been taking care of our boy Chewy. So, Dad, you won the game. You get a book. You just have to email us at admin@bodpodcast.com. Give us your address. Same to you, Ketzel. Give us your address, and we'll get you guys your books. All right. So let's talk about Vrana and Fabbri. Back at practice, wearing the blue jerseys. Vrana, an absolutely amazing, if that didn't fill you up with like the Christmas spirit and like just straight up joy, happiness, I don't know what would. Like it's just it was one of those things. I saw it and I didn't even believe it. And now we're in. All right, I gotta call this out. I just saw Jared's comment. My OnlyFans, of course, covered in Matt's sad feet pics. Silver 3344 jumping in. Since we're talking about Fabbri, he's nervous about Fabbri's black hole on defense. Of course, we've gone over that ad nauseum, looking at like evolving hockey's Rampum charts, and we talk about it all the time. It's those bar charts. The further deeper the red is, the worse you're off, offensively or defensively. Fabbri, north of average offensively. Deep south. I mean, Red Wing red when it comes to those bar charts. And some of the guys will be pink. Some of them are like orangey kind of red. I mean, Red Wing red. This is fire engine, fire truck red for Robby Fabbri and his defensive numbers. And it's just one of those things. Like we talked about it all the time when Fabbri was looking like one of the more successful guys. We're talking like 2 years ago. Are you okay giving up the defensive play to get Robby Fabbri's offense? And a lot of the time we were. I would just say, Silver, this is something we talked about at the start of the season. With this team having way more depth, you don't have to necessarily put Fabbri in those bad situations, and instead you get a little bit more control on where you're going to place him. The only thing is, Cop has been such a bummer for me, and I know I get the pushback every time I bring it up, that I wanted him. I did actually want to put Fabbri in a place that he would get a lot of minutes, and I wanted to see if we could see a change from the center position to just finding a spot where it's more impactful. And again, I know Copper having the issues with the injury, and it's a significant injury that'll hamper him for the full year. But I don't see that as a good excuse to keep him as the second most minutes for a center. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we can give all the excuses we want for Copper and his play. I'm not giving up on the guy. But if we're going to say that the struggle will continue because the core and his injury and healing from it, I think it's also fair to suggest that we pull back on those minutes. And what better way to do that than to use a guy that's coming back from injury and boop, putting him right on the team, right? All right. So, Silver, I could talk out of both sides of my mouth here because we thought we had it figured out, But then a week ago, I was telling you that I wanted Fabbri in place of Copp. So there's that. So to that end, I know where I want to test out Fabbri from the get-go, or at least let's bring that second and third line a little bit closer together in minutes. And they're already pretty close, but we can bring them even closer together. We can figure out a new situation where Copp is gone from the power play, because that seems to be a struggle. I even remember seeing that Copp is not able to practice with his power play unit because he's on the penalty kill, which it's not rare for that to, like, that happens across the league, but we would be in a position where that wouldn't be an issue anymore. Copp can focus on being this defensive forward that, you want to say two-way, I want to say defensive forward. I think there's more argument based on production, even over Copp's career, that more of a defensive forward than a two-way forward. So let's play that game. Let's let Copp be the defensive forward. Let's have Fabbri be the offensive forward, and we'll move on. We'll figure that out. Easy pull-out. I brought up the projected lines for tonight because I wanted to say, how do we build out this team? I think we can all agree it's Puce. Puce or Joe Veleno? Where are you guys at on that? Joe Veleno or Puce? We'll just take a poll here in the comments. Whatever you guys come up with, we'll settle on. But honestly, either one of those guys, boom. They don't have to be gone. It's not like we're getting rid of them, but there's an easy spot to insert. Fabbri. I would also say, especially after today, there's a very easy spot from a winger's perspective for us to make some replacements, especially for a left winger. That's right. Adam Ernie listed on the second line tonight. We have a lot of wingers coming back, right? We still got to figure out what's going on with the Tuesnator, and Trevor Thompson did a little ditty on Zdina practicing, not in a blue jersey, ready to roll. Zdina apparently pushing himself really hard so he can get back in the lineup as fast as possible, and he knows he needs to do that before this team gets too far away from him. And if he wants to make sure he's a part of maybe somebody else's team, he's got to get on the ice and prove something. So, while I let you guys kind of give your opinions here on what we're doing, Joey V, as I see it's been put out there by Dan B, or Pew Suter, I'm kind of hoping the easy selection here on the wing is Adam Ernie, but I think we all know there's going to be some sadness tied here at some point, because, again, do I expect Zadina to take a spot from Berggren or Soderblom after how they've played so far? Absolutely not. But it is another winger coming up with Bertuzzi when he's ready to go. So one of those guys is going to go, and I'm going to be sad, because I don't think when you look up and down this roster that you're making an argument with the way Rasmussen's played this year that Soderblom has absolutely played better than Rasmussen, despite us making the argument that you get that unicorn of a performance from Soderblom. You get that unicorn of an option with the, as Ketzel put it earlier, 12-foot wingspan. Which could be, I don't know, you give him that stick. It's again, it's humongous. Is the benefit, is the value there right now? It will be in coming years. There's a spot for Soderblom that's we're not even talking about it. Nobody's taking it from him in the future. This year, absolutely, I can see the possibility that Soderblom's getting sent down. Does everyone agree with me that Berggren has done enough, that he's safe in this conversation? I don't know. I feel like he's safe. And I feel like as much as I'm in love with Soderblom, we talked about his play earlier today. He got that nice little goal today. That's the one I'd be worried about. All right. Let's back up here. Let's figure out what we're all doing. Ace fishing. Don't touch the fourth line, for God's sake. Ace, I totally agree with you. So this is us trying to figure out Joey V or Suter. Dan B, I like Joey V's speed and board play over Puce. There we go. Danables. Same here, Dan B. You know what? You guys got to figure out this Dan and Dan thing. This is going to be an issue going forward. Jared thrown out there. Cop is losing my patience. Again, I just wonder how long we're going to be tossing out that he had an injury to recover from and not trying to pull back on those minutes. Like you can have the argument. And I think I'm playing along with Jared here. Like that's what I've been getting in my frustration with Cop. That's the response I get. You can't have both though. You can't tell me that he's struggling because of an injury and he absolutely should be on the second line. One of those things can't happen. He's either struggling legitimately or we're pulling back his minutes because he's still trying to heal from an injury. All right. I think I'm justified in saying it. And there's no Mike to argue with me, so we're good. Moving on. Puce has been quietly good. This is coming from Ketzel. We need to make some trades. I think he might have some interest. Good point by Ketzel. Good, the guy that could be, playing better at the moment that a trade's ready to go down is. I mean, that's how these GMs move, guys. Right? They're looking at the recency bias trumps all. That's how guys get moved in this game. So if one of those guys just decides to stand out, we could be moving people around and maybe make that, fix the Sherratt cider problem that we'll talk about in a minute. Jared throws out there, the whole missing preseason excuse no longer works in my opinion. It's been quite a while. Ace, agree. Chewy, Joey V. Oh, wait, is this me, Joey V, you're keeping or you're getting rid of? I already forgot what the question I asked. Package Ernie Suter to pick for a killer lefty. I hope you mean, Ketzel, a killer lefty for your third pairing. I don't know how many teams are going to be kicking down doors to give us a left side D, but maybe, I guess it depends on the pick, too. I immediately in my head was like 4th, 5th round pick, but yeah, we could give up a juicier pick. But then I wonder if the Ernie Suter stuff just kind of feels like we're dumping garbage in their lap to go figure out what to do kind of thing. And I say that tongue-in-cheek. I say that jokingly. Like, we took over Mark Stahl, and then we saw him become one of our top-performing defensemen. So I don't just mean they're terrible hockey players when I say take my garbage. It's just one of those things that you can't make work anymore. Thus, the things you're tossing out from your refrigerator on garbage night. There. Can't believe I have to argue this stuff. I clearly... I need a mic to keep me in line here, and not a microphone. Dan B, trades are going to happen. More than a couple are going to be moved. Suter, Zadina, Veleno, and Ernie. I mean, you guys are all bringing up names that none of us are going to be like sad about, right? Of course, I am trying to make relationships with. Got a shout out from Joe Veleno. I'd like to share with you guys. Maybe at the start of the year, not today, but a little tease for that. Jared throwing out there that Ketzel's trade makes the most sense. For us, absolutely. Yeah, I think it depends on how high you want to go on that pick, and it depends on how high on that left side of the D are you hoping to get a return. Because you've got 3 guys right now on the left side of your D that fill out the bottom 2 pairs no problem. I think it's that top pair that you haven't found the guy that's keeping up with Sider and making sure that the offense is still moving. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Chewy, Berger stays. Bergeron should not leave the lineup from Dan B. Ketzel, Johnny Burgers has earned a spot. How come nobody says Bergeron? Where's all the Bergerons? I want to see some Bergeron emojis. I want Zadina to play with Rass and Vrana and Kopp to play with Fabbri and Burt. That's from Blake, 1991. Chewy, Berger, Larkin, Razor. What say you? I love it. I doubt we see that besides like lines getting mixed up between special teams. Just doesn't seem like the thing that Lalonde's ready to jump into so far this year. Like we know Lalonde for almost 3 months now. I can confidently say that I do not expect to see, barring injury, I don't expect to see that in the lineup. I would love to see it, Chew, but I don't expect to see it. Veleno and Bergeron will go down because trades depth or trades. Silver 33-44 throwing that one out there. Yeah, you got to think about the guys that can get sent down easier too is an issue here, and Ernie is not one of those guys, and I don't know if they're ready to give up on him and see him go into somebody else's fourth line and probably be a pretty good option on somebody's fourth line. Just not like as we see today on our forward lineup, left winger for a second line. Yeah. I did like this tweet from Daniela, coming back to the Vrana conversation. Alone said they push Vrana really hard at practice. I do think that this is a super relevant conversation because it feels like the second we get into the new year, I think we're going to have a brand new Red Wings team to talk about, and it's going to look new from like 4 new forward lines, new power play units, and I don't know. We're going to be able to test real quick and see if the team that's been put together is making that huge difference. All right, Jared, you're on my good list. Ketzel, you're on my good list. You guys sharing the bear grins. Ace fishing thrown out there. Vets over Rooks. And then Jared throws out, careful with that thinking. That's how Ken Holland ran things for the tail end of the playoff streak. Yeah, he's not doing too many favors with Edmonton right now, at least any consistent favors. Good call out there by Jared, but I know where you're coming from, Ace, on that. I just wonder if the vets that we're playing are doing enough good to even be the guy that we want our Rooks to be, like, seeing that's the visualization they get. I don't know. It's tough for me to say. I think Perron is like the perfect representation of the veteran you want on your team. Like the stories we've heard after the 1,000th game of just how, and like he does not, we saw that he has kids and a wife. He does not need those kids. He doesn't need a wife. He has a first love, and it's hockey. Like the stories we heard, that his whole life just revolved around hockey. And I mean, you see it in his game too, where we talk about all the time. It looks like that guy's got glue on his stick. That's the veteran I always thought of when it came to discussing veterans. Adam Ernie, meh. That's not so much for me. I guess that's probably more or less just me sharing a little bit more of who Matt is as a hockey fan. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit more because there's so much conversation going on here. Ketzel, Perron is ageless. Jim Johnson, it will take Burt, Fabbri, and Vrana a few games to get the rust off. That's true. Now, if they do score right away, do you guys trade Andrew Kopp right away? I'm kidding. Now, if they come in, and that's a line, Burt, Fabbri, Vrana, and they have in their first game 5 goals and 5 assists between the 3 of them, do we trade Kopp the next night? I'm kidding. All right. You guys got the joke the first time. See, I need someone to stop me. I've been talking to myself for 48 minutes here. What the hell's wrong with me? Oh, it's disgusting what you guys let me do. Jared, you're after my heart here. Jared just shares the SpongeBob caveman. Now, I'm not on YouTube comments. I'm on StreamYard. Did you actually share the SpongeBob caveman gif, or did you just type that out? Because that is equally impressive, Jared. That Danimals throws out there. Oh, poor Kopp. Ken Young throws out there. Ken, how you doing, man? I can't say that I recognize seeing your name in the comments, and I apologize if I've said this before. Bergeron's not going anywhere. That's what Ken says. Danimals throws out there, alcohol does help with talking to myself for 48 minutes. Jim coming in with the high heat. Is this one burn or what? You guys reading it in the comments already? Podcast listeners, Jim Johnson throws out there, Birdie could also be gone by the trade deadline. Don't forget. I keep blowing into the microphone. I apologize. But when we talked about depth at the beginning of the year, we definitely got away from it. Injuries hurt, and we saw that. Like, we're still able. Like, it's one of those things. We lost 6 games in a row, but we got a couple of points in there, and that's through all of these injuries. And it's while Lalone is still trying to figure out this team and like what's going to be the best one to put onto the ice. And you know, I was going to share this. I'll just point this out while the slide's up for a second here. It was a year ago. We had the same amount of points at 31 games. I don't really care about that anymore. And you know what? I don't. The next slide that came up was Danny O'Regan coming up. I don't know if I really care too much about this either. This is more or less just something to talk about. But I wanted to come to this. This is what I wanted to come to. Basically, point being, and what I'm showing right now is what Prashant the Irish shared on Twitter today. 5-on-5 goal differential of most utilized defensive pairings. And what we're looking at here, we have 4 sections. It's the 5-on-5 goals against per 60 measured against the 5-on-5 goals for per 60. And your 4 sections are no goals for anyone, your goalie's nightmare, everything is happening in elite. No goals for anyone means they're not putting anything on the net, but also they don't give up anything. Elite are those guys, that's your defensive pairings that don't allow any chances on net, and all they do is throw chances at the net. Everything is happening, and your goalie's nightmare, of course, leading the way in that section, meaning they don't get chances on net, and they allow a ton. Brings us to the guy we brought up as potentially an issue for his length of contract and the amount of money we spent on him. That's right. It's Ben Sherratt's defensive pairing, him and Mo Seider. Question is not if this is like the be-all, end-all give up on Benny Boy, because there's a reason to have Sherratt. But the reason to have Sherratt is not for it to result in Mo Seider, having the worst defensive pairing in the league, measuring 5-on-5 game, and not expected, but the actual goals going in and goals against. It's just one of those things where you could say there's still other positives that we get from Benny, like I already mentioned. But there's also the flip side of this where we all saw the war cards. We saw the stats. We saw the underlying numbers for Sherratt coming into this season, and we all kind of went, oh boy, we're adding wins, but at what cost? And I want to ask the same question Prashant was asking, and it's not about getting rid of Ben Sherratt. It's wondering if we can find a better use for Sherratt and a better line mate for Seider. And I mentioned earlier, like Ketzel said, let's find a left side D. Absolutely. This is the reason you do it. I wonder how much we're going to have to give up to make this pairing, which again is being measured as the worst defensive pairing in the league by this metric. And if you want to raise your arms up in a huff and say, well, who cares about this? Well, we're just measuring who's giving up goals and are they putting any in the net? And the answer is yes to the give up goals and no, they don't put any in the net. And this is on ice statistics. This isn't just like, oh, is Seider putting a bunch of pucks in the back of the net? No, we're not asking that question. It's a result of who they're playing with. And normally they're playing with the best forward line on the team. So this shouldn't be a thing. And it is. And it's rough. And again, I'm coming to this point of the question is, why haven't we messed around with this yet? And I'm not asking this question as like, is Lalone missing the mark here? I just bring this up because we were just talking again, like, why do I not care about the standings being almost equal? I think we know we have a better team. We know we're dealing with injuries, but we also haven't had the time to figure out these defensive pairings yet. And we're playing this game too, which is, I think, is adorable that Jake Wallman is having such a good time playing with Roenick. Because last I remember, Olli Maatta was having a great time playing with Roenick. He's actually those boys are on this chart in the elite section, Roenick and Olli Maatta. So I'm just gonna put out there maybe focusing on pairing number 2 and pairing number 3 wasn't necessarily number 1 on my list. But here we are. Jim thrown out there. I would think Stevie would have addressed the Seider-Sherratt pairing. What did Ace say? Do we really need Bert to prove himself at this point to get a deal done? I think he's done that. Can't fault him for the injuries, but he would be the perfect piece for a great return. Okay, so we were talking about something else. I just saw this. I saw Silver threw out there. I agree, Ace. I would further a hot take that Bert's loyalty to the organization is deeper than people think. Will take a little less than his potential. I would point out that they're playing like if we want to talk about Bert's contract, they're in there with the GOAT in regards to being patient. We don't know if he's the GOAT GM of all time. We know he helped build the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I will say this: they are in there with the GOAT of patience. Steve said it himself at the end of last season. We've seen it with Steven Stamkos and getting his extension. Steve will wait forever to get the number he needs to be signed. I don't think loyalty's at play here. And I think you guys are right. I think Bert does offer a ton. But I also think any of these guys, on this roster, like we still have to kind of play that game of like, I think they're all there's only so many names that are locked down and good to go and are here to stay. And with the way that Steve has been paying Tyler, I don't think it's off base to say that Bert would be one of those names that absolutely is not fully protected from the trade deadline or from any trade. We'll know more. Future's a-coming. All of this won't even matter soon enough. We'll know what's going on with Bertuzzi. But, wanting him to stay is one thing. Talking about him potentially leaving, I think, is a completely different conversation. And I think he's absolutely one of those guys that could potentially be out the door, and he doesn't have a contract signed. We just talk about it in that sense. But also, depending on where the Red Wings stand when the trade deadline comes around in the standings, it's not like Steve Yzerman's going to hang up if he hears the name Tyler Bertuzzi, is what I'm saying. That's all. All right. So let's figure out that left side pairing. Let's see what can happen if we could get Vrana and Fabbri back. I'm very excited to see what those lineups look like. Let's see what the power play looks like. You guys have been listening to me rant to myself for an hour now, so I think I'm going to sign off. I do appreciate you guys coming on. Ketzel, Dan B. It's let me type it up in the comments. I think I saw earlier that Dan B did not get the email. Doop. It's admin@bodpodcast.com. I'm putting that into the chat right now. Hey, I said it at the start of the show. You guys are amazing. I want you all to have a safe holiday, especially if you're in the Detroit area with this blizzard coming. And Mike's out right now with the flu. So take care of yourselves. There's a lot of it going around. If you have to look silly and skip family functions because somebody's sick over there, just keep yourself safe. They're going to be dangerous. You keep yourself safe. You guys take care of yourselves. Chewy, you especially, my man. Always, Chewy, if I'm not saying it enough, hit us up whenever, my man. We're here for you. And we're here for the rest of you guys. We'll see you in the new year. So we are going to take next week off. We're planning on doing it. That's why I had to do a show by myself tonight because we're not going to be here next week. Yeah, that's right. So, happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I think, we have Boxing Days coming up. Happy Boxing Day. You just say happy Boxing Day. And I learned today you're supposed to say have a joyous Kwanzaa. And Happy New Year to you guys. We'll see you at the turn. We'll see you in 2023. Thank y'all so much. More Red Wings Rant coming, more giveaways, more cameos and whatnot. There's a Joe Veleno story coming up, so tune in a couple weeks for that one. And Mike hopefully won't be dead. Mike will be back. How about that? Cross your fingers. Mike doesn't die. That'll be our Christmas gift to us all. A living Michael. All right. I don't know how to end this when Mike's not here. Guys, subscribe, like, whatever we normally just say, and then find us on Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review. That'd be a great Christmas present for me if you guys review the podcast. I know how many hundreds of views we get, and I have 20 reviews on Apple Podcasts. Some of you need a deep and hearty spanking, and you know who you are. All right. Love you guys. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you in 2023.